I'm just gonna do the worm. I'm just gonna do the worm. I'm just gonna do the worm. And then we're gonna kill this whole team. It's gonna die today. Hello! I am EJKAI, and I like to hop into top tier matches in War Thunder and then personally kill the entire enemy team by myself. Welcome to my channel. Oh boy, so today I finally have a Japanese top tier plane to cover. Yes, there are some Japanese top tier planes. So this here is the F-4 EJKAI Kai, and the deal with this plane is pretty straightforward. It's just like a normal Phantom, same basic idea, except it gets all aspect A9Ls instead of whatever sucktastic rear aspect infrared something or others that most other F4s get stuck with. That pairs really well with the F4 Phantom's airframe, and turns this plane into a terrifying killing machine, as you're going to see in just a second when I start killing a terrifyingly large number of people terrifyingly quickly. So anyways, I just flanked around hill, and let's start this old-fashioned top-tier arcade bloodbath by sniping this lesser F4 variant with a radar missile. That was the F-4EJ Kai. It's what I used in my normal F4 guide, and it's a terrible plane. You should never buy it. I used it in the guide because it's basically the lowest common denominator, and I killed 16 players with it while lagging, which is honestly one of the craziest things I've ever done in this game. Speaking of F4s, I slip in behind a trio of F4s. I fire rear aspect A9L shots at all of them. One of them blows up before my missile reaches him because someone else blew up. I get the other two. And for the last one, I'm just going to empty my missiles in him just to make sure he's dead, and I pull out for a tactical reload. This plane makes heavy use of tactical reloads, and that's because of its only real drawback, which is that it has a pretty low countermeasure to missile ratio. To make a long story short, countermeasures don't just help you dodge missiles directly, they also buy you time. It takes time to line up a good missile shot. So your ratio of countermeasures to missile largely determines how easy it is going to be for you to get off good missile shots with all of your missiles. This is sort of the main strategic problem you have to work around when flying the EJKAI. And I explained this whole thing in detail in my Kronos 2000 video. The Kronos 2000 gets 48.3 countermeasures per missile, and I demonstrate how to abuse that to just fly around the open, murdering an absurd number of people in plain sight. It's a lot of like smoke and mirror tactics, you know? However, the EJKAI only gets 11.25 countermeasures per missile, so it's much more likely that you won't have time to get off 8 good missile shots when you're flying this plane. So the sort of textbook way you deal with this is by coming in fast and using radar missiles to snipe 1 or 2 guys like this Itcher dude right here that I'm killing before switching to the AIM-9Ls. Now the AIM-9L is an all-aspect infrared, yes, but it's a fairly sucky all-aspect missile, sort of the worst of the best, if that makes sense. It's flareable, and it's relatively bad at making close-range shots, which is a terrible combination for an infrared missile. However, it is long range, and it's relatively hard to flare from the rear aspect at close range. So yeah, if you get a nice, good close-range rear aspect shot, you should take it, but the real way I like to exploit this is to use the range. The range of the A9L gives me enough time to fly up to a furball and fire one A9L at everyone in it. Some A9Ls hit, some don't, but it's a very fast, efficient way to take care of the low-hanging fruit, and I still have time to switch to radar missiles, which is a slower but more reliable way to kill people. Quick side note, speaking of low-hanging fruit, if you ever see a slow MiG-21, it's a free gun kill. That plane is amazing, it is my favorite plane, but many of the players who fly it are not amazing, and a bad player in a good plane is, it's a bad plane. Anyway, so then I jettison everything, just get another tactical reload going on my missiles, while I roll in for another gun kill on this bomber here. I'm not gonna lie, I was feeling unusually bloodthirsty when I was filming this match. But anyways, the TLDR for my last 90 seconds of explanation was that you want to pair your weapons with your enemy's skill level. Basically, you want to figure out how to use your suckiest weapons against the suckiest enemy players, and then you can free up the good stuff so you can use against people who actually have a clue. This plane, the EJKAI, has 8 missiles, 4 all aspects and 4 radar, and an M61 Vulcan, which is an amazing gun, but still, it's not a missile. That's an insane amount of firepower for a plane to have. And if you ever have a competent EJKAI player run amok in your lobby, he can kill a terrifying number of people very, very quickly. You'll have a team, and then like 3 minutes later, everyone's gonna be dead, and you're gonna have no idea how that happened. Or at least you'll have no idea until, you see it on YouTube, where some obnoxious guy with a ton of vowels in his name is gonna explain how he killed you and everyone on your team set to, sitcom music. Now, most planes have a bit of a trade-off, where they're either good at mowing down lots of people, or really, really, really good at killing just one person. For example, before the Fox 3 update, the most reliable way to kill one person was to shoot them with R27ER, but since it was a Fox 1 missile, you you can only kill one person at a time with it. AIM 9Ms, however, were almost as a reliable way to kill people, but you could kill multiple people at the same time. So that's why before the Fox 3 update, you would see squadrons taking out quite a few Russian planes while I was almost exclusively flying American or Western planes. If you're trying to kill a team with your team, you're going to take different considerations into account than if you're trying to kill the whole team by yourself. But what's great about the EJ Kai is it doesn't have to make this trade-off. It can mow down large groups of players no problem, but once people start to thin out, that really just tightens the noose. And that's when this plane becomes really, really scary because there's no good way to stop it. The low countermeasure to missile ratio is the main problem with this plane. But, I mean, I don't really need that many countermeasures if I just killed everyone, so that's that problem solved. Worse yet, once my missiles start to outnumber enemy players, I can start double tapping people with mixed missile types. It's reasonably easy to dodge any missile if you know what you're doing, but it's really hard to dodge infrared and radar missiles at the same time. However, I guess this guy manages to do it anyway, so I just go ahead and shoot his wing off. This puts him into a flat spin, but somehow doesn't give me severe damage, and since there's like no one on my team around, I just fly away and assume he's going to hit the ground and give me credit eventually. But what's really scary is once the enemy team is thinned out, the EJ Kai can basically energy trap anyone at once. Dodging missiles takes energy. The EJ Kai has a lot of missiles, and the F-4 airframe is pretty fast to begin with. That means, worst case scenario for the EJ Kai, it can just sit there firing missiles at you until you're energy trapped, and you will eventually die unless you figure out a plan B, and it's pretty tricky to deal with. And because it's arcade, and yes, I did slap an ace screw in this, my missiles reload, and they reload very quickly. Also, the radar on this thing is just a little bit strange. Not bad, just a bit strange. Nothing you can't get used to, though. But now I wind up in a really dicey situation. An F-14 is spawned in at the exact right time in the exact right position to kill me, and I'm out of countermeasures. So I just dodge his R-27 with my ninja skills because I am the main character, and then I cut under him. I do this because if he pursues me, he sets my teammates up to attack him. He does pursue me, and my teammates fill with missiles, and he departs flight. Hey, sometimes I do share, But yeah, I mentioned this in my normal F4 guide, but the main problem most F4 Phantoms face in War Thunder is they're perfect for carrying all aspect infrared missiles, and kind of bad candidates for carrying rear aspects only. The missile airframe synergy is off if you only have rear aspects. This thing is built as a missile truck, you want all aspects on a missile truck. I like to call this the quote, literally entire goddamn French tech tree until rank 8 problem. Great planes, great missiles, bad combinations of planes and missiles. The EJ Kai does get the right combo, and that makes it amazing despite having a higher battle rating and lower CM to missile ratio than like any other Phantom. Okay, the F4F Ice does technically have a higher battle rating, but that's its own thing. Okay, so at this point, I have pretty slim pickings left for who to shoot down because I just shot down the whole enemy team. Like, the whole team has departed flight, and most of them have departed the lobby because they ran out of planes. Now, you remember that tornado from earlier whose wing I shot off without getting severe damage? Yeah, that was this Dr. Number guy who keeps spawning in. And instead of J'ing out, he floated down to the earth for like a minute until someone finally came in and stole the kill. And I'm not gonna lie, that did kind of annoy me, so I'm gonna go ahead and just kill him on repeat for not J'ing out. Also because he's in front of me and I kill everyone in sight. Now, I hear a lot of people complaining about spawn camping in arcade, but especially in top tier, this is 100% a skill issue on the part of the person getting spawn camped, especially on a map like this. And so I figured this would be a great opportunity to explain to you exactly how to avoid getting spawn camped. First things first, spawn camping in top tier arcade tends to be tactically unsound. That's literally the only reason I don't do it in every video. Enemy players can easily find support from other enemy players and kill you near their own spawn because that's where they spawn in. So if you hang out near a spawn, you're not going to last long before you face a wall of missiles you can't dodge. So if you're on the receiving end, if you're dealing with spawn campers in the earlier bid game, it's a very easy problem to deal with. Just set them up to be killed by someone else. Don't kill them. Get them killed. That's step one. Although, to be fair, it is pretty tricky to find support from other players if I've already killed literally every single other player. So try not to let one guy shoot down your whole team. That's step two. Step three, this guy's throwing away an amazing positioning advantage right now. His spawn is directly over his own airfield, closely surrounded by low hills and loosely surrounded by high mountains. All he would have to do is nosedive and hug the ground around his own airfield, and no one could stop him from doing this because he has a few seconds of spawn immunity. And once that immunity wore off, anyone who wanted to kill him would have to fly through heavy AAA expire to do it, and that's just suicide. Then again, I have noticed that people tend to kind of get intimidated when I murder their whole team right in front of them by myself, so maybe he wasn't thinking clearly. Fourth, he's telegraphing his movements on the statistics page. When your respawn timer is up and you can select the plane, the displayed plane will change from what you were flying to what you have selected. So an observant player will get a few seconds heads up about exactly where and when you will be if you spawn immediately, and that makes it very easy to kill you. If you hold off for a few seconds, you just click around to change your selection. That'll completely throw them off and be very confusing for them. Lastly, you don't have to keep spawning. Crew locks expire when the game ends, so if you're the last player on your team, the game will end when you leave. That means there's no penalty for leaving early. If you insist on spawning in over and over again, I will insist on killing you over and over again. Anyways, that's that team dead. If you want to see a legit 20 kill streak with this plane with like no spawn camping involved, I'll put a link in the description to raw bonus footage of one. Just thought this match was a bit more interesting. Anyways, don't forget to like and comment to feed the algorithm. And remember, if you subscribe or ring the bell, you won't need to remember how to spell EJKAI next time you want to watch one of my videos.